What are your thoughts about a platform like this? How relevant do you think this is? How do you think does this impact the craft and the industry in the long run? Let's start with Priya.
Well, I think it's not just an amazing platform for voice artists who are already in the industry, but it's perfect through activities like Voice Hunt for budding voiceover artists as well. And this was the need of the hour because we haven't had a platform like this or an event like this for the entire industry to come together. हम तो स्टूडियो में हमेशा बस हमारी स्क्रिप्ट और टीवी के सामने रहते हैं. We just have our communication with the director, but this is like an annual good enough affair for all the artists to come together and just get together for the love of our craft and art that we do. So it's amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much, Priya. Tanya, you probably did not even know about this event क्योंकि बाकी प्रिया और निष्का और अनमया तो मुंबई में हैं और इनको जानते हैं इस इवेंट के बारे में कई सालों से, पर आपको तो शायद इसके बारे में कोई भनक भी नहीं थी. So हम जुड़े उसके बाद, you were very generous in accepting our invite to join us as a speaker. After that, I would like to believe that you figured out what this event is all about. Yes. So if you could share a few words about your thoughts on a platform like this?
It is so nice to see that there is a platform for this. As I said, we are just, all of us, whichever part of the country we're in, we're just voices. Right? People don't see us there. They see the other faces, more popular faces, and we're faces. And it's so nice that now there's a platform that celebrates our voices along with our faces. And, we get to see, the people behind this craft. It's so important. And I feel like for me, being in Delhi, like Bombay obviously is the entertainment hub. And, everybody always told me, oh, you want to make it big, go to Bombay. And for whatever reasons, I'm in Delhi. But, I always felt like an outsider. Like, people were like, okay, what do you do? Voiceovers. But now through this platform, I feel like I'm part of a community. And that is a very, very important, I can't describe, it's a feeling because, as a singer, as an anchor, we have platforms to celebrate that. We have these MC awards and we have like singing, I have Rolling Stone and Rock Street Journal, all of that. Yeah. But for a voiceover, I was like this headless chicken. I was like, okay, I don't know who to discover. Like, now I feel like I'm part of a community. I see these wonderful people, colleagues who we've never met, but now we know each other's work. And I think it's really nice to celebrate all of that.
Absolutely. And I really wish that the next year you are here in Mumbai. Absolutely. In person, and you will realize that the 500-600 people who come, who get together are basically friends you've never met.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
So I think that's a great sense of community. Nishka, I'll probably ask you something else.
Yes.
You are in the younger lot of voices in the industry, but in very less time you've garnered a lot of popularity as an artist, as a personality. If I had to ask you, what would be your advice to your contemporaries or people your age who are probably trying to get a foothold into the craft today, what would be your advice to them?
Like the people who are just starting off or wanting to join, or who
yes, I think I meant that. I don't mean contemporaries as in people who are working with you. I mean people who are looking at, people your age, but who are looking at getting into the craft now. Okay. So from your learnings, what advice would you give them?
I think all it takes is just the right kind of people who you meet. Firstly, you need to have the confidence. You need to believe in yourselves that you can do this. And if you have the knack of it, if you have the art, if you feel that you can do this, you want to do this, you want to try something new, get into the field. And if you have the right people surrounding you and helping you, guiding you, because that's what happened with me. It just happened to me like by chance. I got into the industry and I had a lot of people with me, helping me. And that's about it. I think if you want to, then you can. Nothing can stop you.
Absolutely. So basically, you should be ready to hustle.
That's right.
That's very important. Anamaya, bhai, I want to ask you, Anamaya is very popular as not just as an artist, but even as a person in the entire community. And but when it comes to your work, you are known to be very versatile. So मैं जानना चाहूंगा अनमया तुमसे कि जब इस तरह का काम करते हो जहाँ पर इस तरह की सीरीज जहाँ पर इतनी सारी आवाजें करनी होती है, तो ये एक चीज बड़ी दिलचस्प है क्योंकि कई बार जो लोग इस काम में नया नया आ रहे हैं या आने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, उनको लगता है कि अलग अलग आवाजें बना लेना या कार्टून की तरह आवाजें बना लेना, दैट इज इक्वल टू बीइंग अ वॉइस आर्टिस्ट. बट यू बीइंग अ प्रोफेशनल, यू नो दैट इट इज मच मोर देन दैट. सिर्फ आवाजें बना लेना ही वर्सेटैलिटी नहीं होती है. सो व्हाट वुड बी योर टेक ऑन दिस?
First of all, I would like to say कि your love towards the craft is very important. मेरे लिए कोई कैरेक्टर आता है या काम आता है तो आई थिंक कि सबसे पहले आपको उस काम से प्यार होना चाहिए. तो जब मेरे सामने कई कैरेक्टर्स आते हैं तो इट इज़ लाइक कि आई लव टू परफॉर्म, आई लव टू प्ले डिफरेंट डिफरेंट कैरेक्टर्स इन जनरल. सो दैट इज़ द थिंग विच प्रोपेल्स एवरीथिंग एंड और वो मुझे पुश करता है कि इस चीज़ को करो. So basically the love for the craft is very important, and your basic instinct, the way you are, आपके अंदर क्या चीजें हैं, वो चीज अगर आपको मिल गई करने को, तो मुझे मिल गई, मुझे अच्छा लगता है. Actually basically the basic element of mine is to imitate everyone. मैं बचपन से करता आ रहा था. तो अब मुझे
that's an important flair you need to have.
Yeah, you have to that natural thing in you. मेरे में by chance था, I explored it, and तो अब जब मुझे कई कैरेक्टर्स मिलते हैं तो मुझे इतना अच्छा लगता है. बेसिकली आई एंजॉय माय वर्क बिकॉज आई गेट टू डू लॉट्स ऑफ कैरेक्टर्स एट द सेम टाइम विद द डिफरेंट वॉइसेस, विद द डिफरेंट बॉडी मॉड्यूलेशन एंड एवरीथिंग. सो दैट इज द थिंग दैट आई लव. सो अगर आपको इस तरह की चीजें मिलती हैं तो आपको उससे प्यार होना चाहिए, उस काम से आपको मजा आना चाहिए, और आपके साथ लोग को मजा आएगा तो चीज बन जाएगी.
That's true, क्योंकि हम जो ये काम कर रहे हैं, जैसा मुझे याद है 2-3 दिन पहले हमारी उर्दू वर्कशॉप थी. तो आमिर खान नाम के एक शख्स हैं, हम लोग उनसे बात कर रहे थे, मैं उनसे बात कर रहा था, तो उन्होंने यही कहा कि कुछ शौक को लेकर बात हुई. तो वो बोले कि जो परफॉर्मिंग आर्टिस्ट होते हैं वो तो ये शौकिया काम ही है जो प्रोफेशन बन गया है. तो अनलेस आपको इसका शौक अगर है तो फिर देयर इज नथिंग दैट कैन स्टॉप यू, एंड शौक होना बहुत जरूरी है, लाइक यू सेड. So that's very important. Lovely. Priya, I want to bring you in. I want to ask you from, आप इतना अलग-अलग तरह का काम करती हैं. You are a voice artist. You are also a digital creator. And I noticed that you started working at a very young age. If I had to ask you, which is your favorite genre of voice acting, what would you say?
That's quite tough actually, because over the years there have been many genres, but I think one that's very close to my heart would be the animated characters. There's a lot to express, there's a lot to do there, and now of course there are so many other languages that we are dubbing as well. तो हर एक animated character में भी कुछ ना कुछ नया करने मिलता है. There's so much scope to be not just yourself but also bring in so many different personalities. So animation has been my favorite. Of course, theatricals and all will always be a huge plus. So much to learn and take away. But animated has a special place in my heart. It was also my first project for Disney. So, that first day, वो मुझे पूरा किस्सा अब तक याद है. तो वो दिन से लेकर आज तक, I think animated, that's why has a special place. पहला project है तो पहला प्यार है.
And rightly so. Today we are living in a time where the industry dynamics have changed so dramatically from earlier कि अब अगर आप कैरेक्टर्स या अगर आप कैरेक्टर वॉइस एक्टिंग अच्छा कर पाते हैं तो उस बात की ज्यादा वैल्यू है. वरना एक टाइम था जब हार्डकोर वॉइस ओवर्स या जिसको हम कहते हैं वॉइस ऑफ गॉड, उसको ज्यादा अहमियत मिलती थी. सो दैट वे द इंडस्ट्री हैज प्रोग्रेस्ड really well, and today we are living in times of the character voice or the character artist, and which is great. Tanya, agar main aapse पूछूं, you are primarily a lot into voiceovers and you have this beautiful voice and a beautiful rendition style, and I also see that you're very, very active on social media when it comes to making videos and reels of you performing on camera. So I want to understand from you, क्योंकि मुझे लगता है अभी भी हमारी इंडस्ट्री जो है इसमें people are still not, people haven't still become very, very comfortable with performing on camera as a voice. So and I see that you're wonderful at it. If people who are watching, you should follow Tanya on Instagram, and you will see that she puts out these regular voiceover videos, and oh my God, absolutely amazing. So tell us, how has your journey been in terms of your social media presence, and how do you think does it help you as a voice artist?
So this all started actually, like I've been doing voiceovers for a while. As I said, I've been doing it for like almost 8, 9 years now. And started with like doing any work because I wanted to get a foothold into the industry. 2020 COVID hit and I lost a lot of singing shows. So like I'm a jazz pop singer, so I lost a lot of shows, and voiceover work was increasing because everybody was putting out these ads and messages ki hum safe hai, this, that. So there was a lot of work, which was great, like touch wood. So I was just like, let me start, I wanted people to know, like, I don't think anyone knew that I did voiceovers, and I wanted to start putting a face to it because I know all, popular names and stuff, but I felt like thoda sa we should have and also because I've always been sort of like used to being in the spotlight. I was like, how can I mix my two worlds together? And, never thought of it as a point of content. And the funny thing is, it started blowing up. I did it out of boredom. I did it out of getting more clients because I was like, how do I approach and reach out to more clients so that they know who I am and what I do? So I've always been a salesperson. So it was a very sales come entertainment sort of tactic that I applied. And I started doing these behind the scenes of my voiceovers. And it clicked. And the funny thing is that these are the same ads because I do a lot of ad work, digital ads and TVC. So this is the same digital ads that people will block by taking YouTube Premium or Spotify Premium. And these same videos are getting like 1 million plus views. And I was like, what is happening? And, people were so interested in seeing the face, because we are voices that are telling people to buy this, subscribe to this, ye aapke liye acha hai, why, these are the benefits of this. But when they see a face, I think it becomes more human and they're like, oh, this is the person who's doing the voice. And, because when you're you see emotion. So people were like so interested, and I think nobody was doing that. So I think that was what interested a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it was a very organic, and I enjoyed doing it. For me, as somebody was saying before, that it's passion, like as I'm juggling so many things. But even today, like I have, some work that comes in the middle of the night. I have a baby. I'm currently like 8.5 months pregnant, but I will do it because I love what I do. So that passion shows, and I think that's what converted. And I think today, when we see content, if it's organic, if it's not something that everybody's doing, that kind of works. People can see now what is fake, what is real, what clicks, what connects. So it was nice that I was able to shine a light on the industry for, people like, and now every day I'm getting messages because suddenly everybody wants to be a voiceover artist, which is also great. But people also think कि बस बैठ के बात करना है ना. I'm like, नहीं, बैठ के बात नहीं करना. There's a huge industry within that. So like, I'm not good at animated voices. I'm not good at doing that. I'm good at more direct voiceovers and like digital ads. So that is also very important for people to recognize, and I'm trying to shine a light on that there are different fields. It's not just अच्छा मम्मी ने बोला अच्छी आवाज है तो मैं बन जाऊंगा voiceover artist. It's not like that. So I think people connected with that content, and it's been doing really well so far.
Absolutely. I think आप भी कहीं ना कहीं वही कर रहे हैं जो हम करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि आवाज़ों को चेहरा दे रहे हैं, क्योंकि मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि कुछ वक्त पहले तक people used to take pride in the fact कि हम mystery रखते हैं, आवाज़ को चेहरा नहीं देते, let's keep it mysterious. But I think today we need to move with the times, and as long as you're comfortable and each to his own, मुझे लगता है कि बिल्कुल भी गलत बात नहीं है if you showcase your talent. And like I was saying the other day, sometime back, that there's a fine line between showing what you can do and showing off.
Yes.
So showcasing is a beautiful thing, and it only adds it gives you a lot of confidence. And I can see that, I've seen your videos, and in fact, even Priya and Nishka, I think, are very, very supremely active on social, and they take their social very, very seriously, and which is what I love that. And, kudos to them. Nishka, if I have to ask you, from all the work that you've done, if I have to ask you to highlight one which probably changed the trajectory of your career, or something that really got you into the stream, or something that you'll always be thankful for, what would that be?
If you go to see, there are like plenty of such projects, but I'll go back to one of my first theatricals.
Any one thing which made you feel that you've arrived, that you're now you're well entrenched into the craft?
Yeah. So one of my first theatricals was Smurf 3. I was Smurfette. And I also got to sing for the film, and I did the closing track for the movie. And that changed my entire, not career, like I was just walking into the whole field, but it was still like I was just out of prime focus as a dubbing director, and that was the first theatrical that I had done. So I was like, okay, this means something. I really have to crack it. I have to do this. And yeah, that's one of my very special projects that I've done. And I remember like Asif sir was directing the song. Actually, the song is more special to me because I walked into the industry because I wanted to do something with singing. And when I got the chance to do that, I was like really, really, really thankful and happy. And yeah, from there, that's there, and I'm here today, and it's just that.
Lovely, and it's going great, and you
Yeah,
have a
touch
long,
wood.
long, long way to go. Of
Yeah, I
course.
do. Thank
What
you.
about you, Annamaya? Which is that one project that you think can be your hero project, जिसको बोलते हैं कि यार इससे बहुत फर्क पड़ गया?
It's really tough for me to pick because it was an
Exactly.
organic process. मैं काम जब
Fair.
शुरू किया, करता गया, चलता गया, और पता ही नहीं चला when I have arrived. So I mean, this was the very, एक के बाद एक धीरे धीरे लोग जाने, लोगों ने काम देखा. So I cannot pinpoint a single project कि exactly इससे मेरे life में कुछ major changes आए. It
Hmm.
was
Okay, I
very
get that.
random.
That's absolutely fine. It's a very organic process, or
Yeah,
things keep
yeah.
happening every day. ऐसा तो सच में honestly ऐसा बहुत कम होता है. कुछ लोगों के साथ होता है, पर ऐसा हमेशा नहीं होता है कि
हाँ,
किसी एक प्रोजेक्ट ने आपकी पूरे करियर की दिशा बदल दी हो.
हाँ, हाँ,
पर
हाँ.
ऐसा प्रिया आपका क्या ख्याल है? आपके साथ ऐसा कुछ हुआ है कि आपके लिए भी एकदम ऑर्गेनिक रहा है?
It has been organic, but I think memorable wise, अगर मैं देखूं, तो my first theatrical will always be very special, and that was Bolt. It happened when I was still in school. I was in fact preparing for my boards. अगले ही जिस दिन मैं recording कर रही थी, उसके अगले ही दिन मेरी recording थी. And I had to give my board exams, and I was recording, and I didn't know how it's going to happen, but it turned out really well. And everyone, of course, because the character was also in a way very close to my name. It was Pia. Everyone started in a way understanding कि okay, there's so much more to voicing than just doing mimicry, because तब तक वही notion था that okay, voicing is all about taking some character voices and just mimicking it out, या बच्चों की आवाज निकालना. But this was like, okay, so you have actually voiced for someone who is also a kid. And that time Miley Cyrus was a teen. She had dubbed for the original voice, so I had to be close to that character. So in a way, Bolt really changed my perception as well as my stand as such in the industry. And uske baad, I would say, of course, the most special one has been Marvel, because when I did Black Panther, little did I know Shuri would go on to become Black Panther. वो तो पूरा मतलब बोलते हैं ना, एक पूरा 360 degree turn हो गया मेरे लिए तो in a way. So that was really special. I really grew as a person and as a voice artist there.
Wonderful, fantastic. Tanya, I noticed that you have a home studio, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
You have a home setup. So why don't you take us through, what kind of a setup do you have? And did you set this up during the pandemic? And how is it? Do you record a lot from your home studio? I think it would be a great thing for everyone to know what kind of challenges do you face, or what, how would you view having a home studio?
Yeah. So for me, it was a very, like even today when a lot of people come up to me and saying, I want to do this. And I say, hold up, don't blow up your money on buying expensive mics and stuff like that. So for me, when I started, literally it was, as I said, it's been such a long journey, and I was doing work for like peanuts, in the voiceover field. So I used to take like literally like, smartphones. I would go to like a corner of a cupboard, record a scratch on my recording app. Once I would back the project, I would go book a studio. You pay like 1,000 to 1,500 rupees for an hour, and it was I was doing all that work. And I feel like for any profession, when you come from like a middle class background, you also want to be sure. You just don't want to set up this entire fancy gear and stuff like that. First, make sure, are you getting the kind of returns? Are you doing well? It's not just ki tumhe laga tum best ho and you're going. So I was waiting that once I was able to see that it's doing well and I'm appreciated for what I'm doing, I'm getting good amount of work, then I felt that, okay, it'll be more feasible for me to set up, a home studio setup, invest in a good quality mic. And again, I think when it comes to tech and mic, I feel like whatever people can do within their budget, you don't have to have, as I said, some of the, you go to the smallest studios or you go to the biggest studios. The idea is that what can you do within your own budget? Because people, the most important thing for people to understand is that this industry that we're in, the freelance work industry, no 2 months are the same. So, we all have an off season, on season, and that's how actually I got into voiceovers. Because, when I was singing, I realized that I can't keep singing every month, because I'm not a Bollywood singer, I'm not a playback singer. I was just doing I was an indie, underground singer. So for me, there's an off season, on season. So then I realized that what else can I do with a microphone? So that's when voiceovers really kicked in. So I took a very practical approach. So I have I've soundproofed my place, have my mic, my sound card, whatever software comes to you, Ableton, FL Studio. Started off with using Audacity because it was a free software. So I really sort of studied the craft on my own, figured out what worked well. And that's what I always tell every beginner. Please don't go busting up your money on, because people keep messaging me, ma'am, what mic are you using? And I said, why? Are you getting projects first? First tell me, because people just want to blow up money. Then what happens is with this, a lot of disappointment comes. And we've seen that, today we've seen that. Not everybody is going to be, the next big thing. So you have to take your time. You have to see that you're getting that kind of returns and then set up your home studio. So I set up my home studio after maybe 5-6 years of hustling in the industry. And here, I'm not even in Bombay, as I said, I'm in Delhi. So the work is, if it's 100% Bombay, it's like 60% here, and I don't, so here we get more digital ads and more, so I haven't done theatricals. I haven't done dubbing, all of that work, very few, but mostly what I get is more corporate work, ads, show reels, that kind of stuff. So for me, it's been a very organic way to set up a home studio. And that's what I tell people, to take the time and, then see what allows within their budget and then sort of make you think you want to have a multi-screen setup. Go for it once you have the kind of budget.
Yeah, go slow, go easy, go organic.
Exactly.
Take your time and don't jump into. But on the home studio thing, Anamai, I want to ask you something.
Yeah.
I know home studio आजकल बहुत लोग सेटअप कर रहे हैं, पर डबिंग में तो होम स्टूडियो में ज्यादा काम डबिंग में पैंडेमिक के दौरान तो हुआ था, पर अब एवरीवन हैज गॉन बैक टू द तो एक बड़ा फर्क अगर मैं पूछूं, क्योंकि 2 साल पहले हम सब ने जो लोग डब करते हैं उन्होंने घर से डबिंग भी की है और बाकायदा लंबे अरसे तक की है, एंड नाउ एवरीवन इज बैक इन द स्टूडियो. तो पहले के मुकाबले अब नाउ दैट यू आर इन द स्टूडियो अगेन, क्या फर्क है? क्या आपको लगता है कि नहीं डबिंग जैसा जो क्राफ्ट है वो होम स्टूडियो से होना चाहिए या आसानी से हो जाना चाहिए, और वुड यू रेकमेंड कि वो स्टूडियो में ही जाके करना चाहिए, एंड व्हाई?
या कपल ऑफ डिफरेंसेस तो आए. पहला तो हुआ कि हमें स्क्रिप्ट मिलती थी स्टूडियोज में, तो अब हमें टैब पे स्क्रिप्ट पढ़ने की आदत है, तो वी हैव अ हैबिट ऑफ मार्किंग द डायलॉग्स, पॉजेस एंड एवरीथिंग. तो वो एक इशू होती थी शुरू में, तो वो एक डिफरेंस आया कि अब हमें स्टूडियोज में टैब मिलते हैं तो हमें टेंशन नहीं होता, मार्किंग आती है. बट द लिबर्टी ऑफ परफॉर्मेंस जो है ना, यू विल गेट इट इन स्टूडियो. मेरे हिसाब से घर से तो कर रहा था, इट वाज हैपनिंग बिकॉज मजबूरी थी, वी हैड टू डू इट, वी डिडंट हैव एनी ऑप्शन. बट हाँ, मजा स्टूडियो में ही आता है बिकॉज यू गेट दैट टेक्निकल सपोर्ट. मुझे नियंडो सीखना पड़ा. And I was the recordist also, I was the director also, I was doing everything. So it was a challenging thing. I do enjoy it a lot, but if you'll ask me कि studio or home studio or a studio, I would say studio में मतलब main setup में बहुत फर्क होता है. You get the technical support, you get a director, you get lots of things जहाँ आप अपने performance को best दे सकते हो. घर में मुझे लगता है बहुत limitations.
Yeah, because you're constantly
आप अपने comfort zone में होते हो.
Yeah, because there's also things like you're focusing on the screen, whether you focus, and there's edit karo, isko ye karo. Oh my God, it was a task.
But I'll also like to add to this, what they're saying. Again, I feel this is for me, as I said, not being from Bombay, I find this like a very city-wise thing, because the kind of work that I get, the clients want to save on that studio cost, right? But when it's so they want to save, and because then they don't want to go to the, because in Bombay what happens, what I've heard is that people just are called, acha 12 baje raat ko studio mein aa jao, ye hai. In Delhi we don't have that. As I said, here like Zomato or Mama Earth will send me a project and they said, acha you have your own setup, acha chal wahi se kar lo, let's save on that. So because again, it depends on the genre of kind of the voiceovers, but I always tell the client that if it's a big project, I feel that a studio, because as he said, studio is like your place, it's your temple, which nothing can beat. So if the client is willing to spend on that, then let's do that, because that's the top A grade quality you'll get.
Also, I feel certain genres, sorry, I'm so sorry. I just felt like certain genres do demand certain communication with the directors and the producers. If you have that, it just makes the entire experience, it takes it to the next level, because their inputs and that communication can really help you. When you do it virtually, it used to just be very difficult to communicate with your team also.
I used to say, please, no, let's book a studio. I will book the studio, but I cannot have these 10 faces on the screen watching me like this, because it just kills the whole vibe. I said, let's book a studio. Aapko puri family leke aana hai, we'll go to the studio and block it. But these faces just staring, that somebody will raise their hand. Can you redo this line? I'm like, this is too messy. Like, let's go to a studio.
Correct.
Yeah, but on this note, just trying to add on to this of having people staring at you. So I want to continue this कि why I feel अगर आप ये काम शुरुआत कर रहे हैं इस काम की, तो मुझे क्यों लगता है कि आपको स्टूडियो का एक्सपीरियंस होना जरूरी है. जैसे प्रिया, आप इतने कम उम्र से आप ये काम कर रहे हो, तब तो इतनी टेक्नोलॉजी नहीं थी, तब तो ऑनलाइन कुछ नहीं होता था. सो आपका जो ग्राउंडिंग हुई है, आपका जो फाउंडेशन है, that foundation has been laid on working around people in a studio. That foundation has been laid, all of us for that matter. हम सबने बहुत, I think निष्का probably हाल ही में आई है in terms of the, हम अगर experience की बात करें, तो हम सबने जब शुरुआत की थी, तो हमारी जो नींव है वो स्टूडियो के माहौल में, with strangers judging you and with that nervous energy. So what it does is it sets you up, it makes you strong. And after that, obviously you're free to have your own setup, and you because आपकी पकड़ आ गई है, you know how to handle, you know how to be a bunch of nerves and still do a job. But मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि अगर आप आज काम शुरू कर रहे हो, and if you directly get into having your own studio and setup, then you are getting too comfortable, in the confines of your own home, जहाँ पर आपको कोई जज नहीं कर रहा है, जहाँ पर आप कितनी बार भी टेक दे दें. तो ये भी एक इम्पोर्टेंट बात है कि जब आप किसी स्टूडियो में जाते हो, तो आप दुनिया को फेस करना सीखते हो.
It's also like when we perform on stage in front of an audience.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of a music video, you put out a music video and you're like, हाँ, अच्छा हो गया. But when you do the same song live in front of an audience, you see that reaction. And this is an industry where we get a lot of inputs. There's the agency, the director, the producer. Everybody has their own input. Everything gets twisted. Conversational chahiye nahi, ye classy chahiye, aise chahiye, ye chahiye. We want the texture like this. So there's so many inputs which a studio, that, as you said, that experience is very important to make you understand what you're doing, your craft, and it helps you hone those skills then.
Absolutely. So you were talking about, Tanya, sometime back you were speaking about all of us being freelance artists. Absolutely, and no 2 months are the same. I think no 2 days are the same, literally. तो ऐसे में एक बहुत important point आता है. There are times when you have a rough patch or you have lull in your work, and insecurity seeps in. You see people around you doing better, doing far more work, and getting projects which you think you should have got. So ऐसे में let me start with Nishka. How do you handle as an individual, as a professional, especially since you are a freelance artist? How do you handle emotionally that insecurity wala patch?
So initially it used to feel a bit, okay, am I not performing well? Am I not working well? What's the problem? Why is this happening? But slowly and gradually you realize it's not you. That project was not meant for you. It's okay. I mean, you'll get more things. I mean, if that was meant for you, it would come to you, because there's probably something better. And I'm sure, I mean, that's always happened to me. If I've lost one project but that I really, really wanted, immediately after like 3 days, I have had a better opportunity. And I'm like, if I would be stuck with that, I wouldn't be able to do this. So it always comes to you. What has to come to you comes to you. You don't have to feel bad at all, and you don't have to get like disheartened, because it's fine. You're learning, you're still growing. There's a lot more to learn. So
Absolutely. I think that's a very mature and a very spiritual way to look at it, because otherwise, it's going to beat you down every day because,
exactly.
uh, yeah,
And then when if that beats you down, what you already have, you won't be able to perform well with what you have, because you'll constantly be thinking ki, Arey, I wish मेरे को वो मिल गया होता, I wanted to do that. And then you won't be able to focus on what you actually have. So yeah, I think
that's true. That's true. Uh, if I ask some of you, if you had to start today, let's start with Anamaya. If you had to start today,
Hmm.
uh, pursuing being a voice artist,
Hmm.
what would you do? Would you train first? Would you get some training if you did not have any idea about the craft? Or would you directly try and get some practical experience? What would you work on?
Honestly speaking, I would like to train myself first, because see what we do apart from voiceover, when we perform, when we dub, we actually act in front of mic. There's no camera, but mic is there, and you're acting, you're emoting, you're doing almost same thing which the character is doing on the screen. So for me, I must have joined a theater or somewhere where I can get to learn more about the craft, about the emoting things and acting, and at the same time training for the languages also. I mean, I would love to train first. I'd like to train first myself a bit, and then I'll go simultaneously to the studios and start my struggle. So obviously
ठीक है.
पहले तो ट्रेन करूंगा, थोड़ा तो जो भी
Well,
समझ में आए, या नॉलेजेबल लोगों से मिलूंगा, कैसे करूँ, हाउ टू गो अबाउट इट एंड the things like that. But unless until you
that's
train
interesting.
yourself a bit, you should not go.
ये
मतलब
बहुत जरूरी बात बोली है
हाँ,
अनमया, क्योंकि आजकल जैसा तानिया भी कह रही थी, और आजकल हम सबको कई लोग हर अगले दिन मिलते हैं, एंड लाइक यू राइटली सेड तानिया, टुडे एवरीवन वांट्स टू बी अ वॉइस ओवर आर्टिस्ट, क्योंकि इट सीम्स सो इजी, इट्स जस्ट अबाउट स्पीकिंग, नो. And I often ask people when I'm talking about the craft in any forum, I always ask how many people in this room know anyone who gets paid to act with his or her voice. Usually not one hand is raised. और अगर कोई एक हाथ उठता भी है तो वो इसलिए क्योंकि अच्छा मेरी फ्रेंड या मेरे भाई का कोई फ्रेंड है जो एक कहीं पर कोई आरजे है. So I tell them, if it was so easy, everyone would be doing it. क्योंकि when I ask कि how many of you know a doctor or a computer engineer, तो बहुत हाथ उठ जाते हैं. So कहीं ना कहीं it also tells you that it is not so easy, and like any other profession and craft, like Anamaya rightly said, you need to train for it.
correct.
तो ट्रेनिंग बहुत जरूरी है, but at the same time किसी भी तरह की ट्रेनिंग cannot be can only be a means to an end. It is not the end. तो ये भी बड़ा चक्कर है. प्रिया, अगर मैं आपसे पूछूं ट्रेनिंग के बारे में, तो एक काउंटर आर्ग्यूमेंट ये भी होता है कि हाउ डू यू, ट्रेनिंग से क्या होगा, क्योंकि यू नीड टू हैव अ फ्लेयर फॉर, यू नीड टू हैव इट इन यू just to play the devil's advocate.
Yes.
So what would you say?
I would say it's a mix of both. There is a balance that you require. It cannot be like, I've seen the best of people, they can train themselves, they can come from the best acting institutes. But first, if they don't have the flair for it, if they're not passionate enough for the job, and additionally, of course, if they don't push themselves to keep growing and getting a lot of learnings done on the job, then they'll go nowhere. Like, I've seen the best of people around me who have done that. They feel like, acha, chalo ek training course kar lete from the best of the institutes, and you can get there. But that's really not true. You really have to
Absolutely.
work your way up there, work hard, be passionate. And of course, I feel personally patience is extremely important. You can get your skills in place, you can get everything in place, but if you don't have patience and if you're not focused enough at what you're doing, then it's all going to go for a waste. So it's a balance of both, for sure, in the long run. If you want to sustain in this industry, it has to be a good blend of everything, and yes, keep learning every single day.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that's a very valid point, that it is a balance. I always maintain that you need to have a flair, you need to have a flair, and you have to also train, and you need to give it time. So that's very important. Tanya, if I ask you, आप दिल्ली में हैं, और आपका काफी काम ऐसा होता है जो, जैसा आपने कहा कि रिमोट पे काम होता है, you have clients connecting with you, and so which is a very different, वो एक अलग segment हो गया है, और एक सेगमेंट है मेन स्ट्रीम जो बम्बई में होता है, मुंबई में होता है, जहाँ पर you're visiting studios and there is a more real interaction. So if I ask you, what are your views about how the industry is in terms of what challenges do you feel today as an artist? If you can share that, a lot of people who are watching this who are professional artists, they might, it might be good information for everyone.
So see, I think for me, as I said, I come from a very different part of, as I said, the voiceover industry is a huge world, like I said, it's not just about having a good voice. You identify your good voice fits where. Do you fit more in dubbing? Like Priya said, you have to have this blend. It's talent. It's about training. I mean, it's like how we take, let's say, take Nepo Bollywood actors, right? Nepo kids. Not everybody, just because you have a famous dad or a famous mom as an actress, not everybody has those talent, those acting chops, right? You need that sort of flair, but also you need to keep learning on the job. So for me, for being here, of course, not being in Bombay is a challenge because you lose out on a bunch of work. There's a lot of things which I feel like I would be getting a lot of work if I was positioned in Bombay. So definitely place-wise, there is a huge thing. There have been times where clients have, the bigger the budgets, they've flown me down to Bombay for work and stuff like that. But again, so I feel that location-wise, it is a challenge. But I was also so determined, like being in the entertainment industry, talent, everything comes second. The first thing you need to be is very, very thick-skinned. If you can't accept rejection, you can't take the highs and lows, you don't be a part of the industry. Please pack your bags, go find a nice 9-to-5 job, because this is not for the faint-hearted. So, you get, I mean, there's so many times when I feel like, I was like, I see this ad and I'm just like, I could have done a better job, but like, there are things that I lose out on. So of course, working remote and away from, the Bollywood section I lose out a lot of projects because I'm not stationed there. And then also, I think challenges you face more in terms of when you're not dealing directly, when, the middlemen come in and give the briefs. So those also a lot of challenges you face because the briefing changes, the projects get extra long. You want to try and take up more work. And as I said, the freelance industry, no 2 days are the same. So you're always like left wondering. And that's why I have to have, as an artist, as a freelance artist, I have to have multiple sources of income, because you never know what the next day looks like. Am I getting projects, and I know like this time, like last time when I was being wheeled into the hospital, my first pregnancy, I was, getting client calls, and I did take up my voiceover work 5 days after delivering my baby. Because I just had to, I was like, because I love my work. So I put my baby to nap and then I took up work because also you're so passionate about it. So as I said, that the challenge of not knowing what the next day looks like, that is the biggest challenge I feel. And then for me, it's of course not being in the hub of the industry and being away from it. That is there. So I do lose out a lot of work on that. But I've made peace with it and I've figured out what my core strength is, and I try and focus more on that. So whether it's e-learning, and now I do a lot of like meditation videos and corporate show reels and stuff. So I figured out what client base is easily accessible for me. And that's the whole thing about being in a freelance space. You figure out what works for you, what doesn't. So either I make the big transition of moving to Bombay, or I figure out what tables do I turn to make stuff work for me from here.
Right. I quite liked what you said because it's funny that it is a blessing and it is also a curse. You said that the biggest challenge is not knowing what the next day looks like. And it is also the biggest blessing, and that keeps us so alive as artists, that we do not know what the next day looks like. No 2 days have the same script.
High. Yeah, it's a rush you get. Yeah, because all of us here are ready to like, I've given up. I've said no. I've probably lost a couple of friends down the lane because, I'm just like, I have to work. I have to submit this project. I have these deadlines and I have these timelines. It's just that you and that microphone, that synergy, which is why some people make it and some people don't, because that passion, I think all the people present here have that passion, and that's why we're here, because we're trying to show that it's not just about आवाज अच्छी है, you know, we don't know, कल maybe some new voiceover artists come, we'll all get replaced. Everybody is replaceable.
Absolutely.
I think first get that feeling out of your head. And there's no certainty even in jobs today. Like suddenly you could be in a 9 to 5, you have a secure job, you're fired. You know, there's no guarantee in any place. So I think do it with all your heart and be practical about it. And because challenges keep coming every day, there's a new challenge. I mean, COVID, everybody was like, okay, I can't get a studio. So people who didn't have a home setup were like, oh no, you know, now they had to invest in a setup. So challenges come, and you know, you just have to be prepared. So thick-skinned, I think, is the #1 thing to be to survive in this industry.
थोड़ा थोड़ा ऐसा लग रहा है कि मैं मिरर से बात कर रहा हूँ, क्योंकि ये सारी चीजें बड़ी रेजोनेट कर रही हैं। प्रेगनेंसी के बाद, डिलीवर करने के बाद रिकॉर्ड नहीं किया मैंने, उतना ही फर्क है फॉर ऑब्वियस रीजंस। उसके अलावा लाइफ की कोई ट्रेजेडी नहीं है, लाइफ का कोई अच्छा इवेंट नहीं है, या कोई दुनिया का कोई कोना नहीं है जहां पर मैं हूं और जहां से रिकॉर्ड नहीं किया। रात का कोई वक्त नहीं है, और जब यूएस में होता हूं तो वहां पर रात को, हर रोज रात को जगना पड़ता है, क्योंकि ये जैसा आपने कहा एक पैशन है। यू डूइंग इट बिकॉज this is what I've done all life, or you know, it's something that you wake up to every day, looking forward to it. So that's amazing. You know, बड़ा अच्छा लग रहा है, और लोग भी बड़े अच्छे comments कर रहे हैं। Tanya, people are really appreciating this passion. Somebody asked Tanya to recommend a few studios in Delhi. कोई नाम हो तो बता दो यार।
Oh, my favorite is Ferris Wheel Studios, which is actually in Gurgaon. It's a beautiful studio, fantastic. And then there's Meraki Studios, and as I said, since I'm more of a home girl setup, but yeah, these two studios are my current favorite, Ferris Wheel and Meraki.
इस मामले में हम थोड़े अलग हैं। आपसे स्टूडियोज के बारे में पूछ सकते हैं, और मुझसे दुनिया की किसी भी शहर में कैफेज के बारे में पूछ सकते हैं। चलिए, तो निष्का, आई वांट टू आस्क यू कि यू नो, आपके बड़े फैन हैं, पर आप किसकी फैन हैं? विच आर्टिस्ट और विच वॉइस आर्टिस्ट डू यू लुक अप टू कि यार, आए यार, काश ये आवाज मेरी होती?
Oh my God.
I think it's going to be very flattering for whoever. बाकी लोग भी याद कर लो, क्योंकि मैं पूछने वाला हूँ सबसे।
You'll come back to me after you ask them, or let me also think.
चलो ठीक है, Anamaya, you tell me.
No.
Which male voice are you a fan of? यार, किसके फैन हो आप? बहुत
मैं फैन वॉइस से ज्यादा परफॉर्मेंस का हूँ। कुछ सीनियर,
हाँ, I meant an artist. Which artist?
Mostly I like Anil Dutt's the way he performs. Anil sir.
Absolutely.
Vinod Sharma, Mausam. I mean, the way they craft the character, they conceive the character, and when they perform, it's like वो चिपक के जाते हैं उसमें। तो I usually कभी भी मैं डब पे गया, they are dubbing ना, मैं देखता रहता हूँ कैसे कर रहे हैं वो कैरेक्टर को, कैसे लेके जा रहे हैं। तो मैं चोरी करने की कोशिश करता हूँ, उनसे कुछ सीखने की कोशिश करता हूँ। है तो और भी बहुत, लेकिन ये मेरे मतलब बहुत पसंद करता हूँ।
Which is fantastic, and obviously these are great artists. Anil Dutt का तो मैं खैर बहुत personally बहुत मुरीद हूँ, बहुत fan हूँ। और what about you, Priya?
Okay, this is quite tough, to be very, very honest. Not at the risk of sounding very diplomatic or whatever, since this is voice industry that we are talking about.
Say मैं अपनी favorite हूँ, मुझसे बेहतर कोई है नहीं उसमें।
I'm not. No,
like Mr. Shah Rukh Khan says that I'm the best.
I really wish I could have said that, but no. There is just one voice that has inspired me since childhood. It's not really a voice actor, I can say, but if you're talking about the voice, the one man I look up to is Mr. Amitabh Bachchan. The reason, I mean, you may think it's cliche, it's diplomatic or whatever. The fact that his career started at a juncture where he faced rejections. He was rejected for having a very heavy voice. And today that voice is global. I mean, we all look up to him. He's so inspiring, and he's faced so many ups and downs. And it's just the baritone, it's the voice, the way he functions, the amount of 100% or 200% that he gives into his work. I've been blessed to see how he works behind the scenes a couple of times, and I feel so inspired. There's always so much to take away. He's 81 or 82 if I'm not wrong, and even if at that age I can continue doing what he does or be even 1% passionate about my work, I'll be blessed. I mean, I just keep looking up to him for that passion that he has for his craft.
You know, the best part about your answer is, although ये Miss World वाला answer है, but सही है.
I mean, that is it's an honest answer. मैं सब जगह यही बोलती हूँ because it's so inspiring. अब क्या कर सकते हैं?
Anybody can relate.
What about you? What about you, Tanya? Whom do you look up to as a voice?
So for me, when I first, I mean, I've always been, drawn to very deep, textured, husky, gritty voices, because I
Right.
feel like that's what my, it's like you try to see yourself in something, and for me, it was when I heard Richa Nigam in the Daag Achhe Hain, that just that line.
Right.
That just
Of
drew me. I
course.
was so blown away. I remember I did my research of the who. I want to see who's this artist. What is that? That voice was so beautiful to me, and for me it was because I've always been told, even as a singer, that, oh, it's a too deep voice, or this husky, it's not, I don't have like I can't reach the highs, and I don't have that high pitched, and so my voice is very different. So for me, I found myself in her voice, and I really that I was really drawn to that. And that's when I was
Lovely.
like, I was more determined. I was like, okay, if this can do it, I want to be like that.
How lovely. Richa is the dear friend. I will tell her
Yes.
that
I'm a
we
big
are a big fan
fan.
of Richa. Kaun nahi hai, so all of us are big fans of Richa. So I will definitely convey
Yes.
your love to her for sure. तो निष्का अब नंबर तो आ गया.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was still thinking, but I just remembered. So when I had started off dubbing, everybody used to tell me that I sound like Urvi. And do you remember Urvi Asher?
Yes,
I'm
sir.
sure
Of
you guys.
course.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So now she's in Australia. So now I haven't like
Just
heard her
yesterday,
in the.
Sanket was remembering her in a session last evening. Sanket was
Oh,
remembering Urvi that he really misses
oh.
working with her. Yeah,
Yeah, I miss working with her because I used to direct her when she used to come as an artist, and I used to really look up to her work. And I think I don't know how, but it sounds similar. And like maybe I just heard her too much, तो वो शायद मेरे में उसकी उनकी वो छोटी छोटी nuances like I've picked up, but I don't know. Like Urvi, even Malvika, I love Malvika's voice. So
of
yeah, I
course,
think
Malvika Shivpuri. Absolutely,
yes,
she's a
I
Very
fantastic performer.
Yes, yeah. So I think those are the kind of performers I really look up to. Like, as I grow older, I want to sound like them.
Now, look, that's the beauty about a voice, no? That we age like
Yeah,
fine wine, and
exactly.
किसी ने नेपो आई थिंक आप में से किसी ने नेपोटिज्म नेपो की बात की थी तो वन गुड थिंग अबाउट आवर इंडस्ट्री इज कि यहाँ इवन नेपोटिज्म कैन ओनली गेट यू टू द माइक उसके आगे तो आप ही को करना है
परफॉर्म करना
उसके
होगा.
आगे आप
Correct.
किसी की भी भाई भतीजे
Exactly.
हो
नहीं.
कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है so
Yeah.
which is amazing I just need one word about what do you love most about this craft one word two words basically one thing you tell me why don't we start with Tanya.
I get to be a new character every day.
Splendid, lovely,
Yes,
beautiful.
exactly.
Very well said. New character every day. Because even if you're doing a voiceover, whether it's for Zomato or Mama Earth, finally even a voiceover is a character. He or she is the guy who's stringing the story together and finally making that pitch to you. So beautiful. You're playing a new character every day. What about you, Priya? आपका क्या ख्याल है?
I think there's a takeaway from every personality or character that you portray on screen, and that's a huge learning every single day behind the mic. There's
Wow,
a takeaway from each
interesting.
character.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right.
Anamaya, what about you?
Living different characters as they have said, and एक कैरेक्टर जो बन चुका है उसको अपनी जान देके उसको एक नई चीज जस्ट क्रिएटिंग समथिंग न्यू दैट इज द थिंग फॉर मी.
इंटरेस्टिंग
तो
दैट्स वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग क्योंकि ये बात सच है अनमया कि आप शब्दों से ही आप नए नए किरदार बुनते हैं स्पेशली जब आप एनिमेशन के कई ऐसी सीरीज हैं जहां पर ओरिजिनल में कोई वॉइस ही नहीं है
हाँ,
एंड आई थिंक
you have
इवन
to create
ऑगी एंड द कॉकरोचेस इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग एंड मेनी
exactly,
अदर्स राइट
exactly.
हाँ विच इज
You
अमेजिंग
live that
एब्सोल्युटली
character. You live that character,
बिल्कुल
which is not there, which is not वो साउंड नहीं कर रहा है, and you are creating the sound.
sounding you're creating the sound absolutely that's almost magical that is absolutely magical
Magical. मजा आता है. I tell you,
Nishka what
मजा
about you
I think Priya and Anumay and Tanya said everything. I mean, I'll take from everyone. But yeah, I have the freedom to do whatever I want every day. I have the freedom to create a new character, even if I am watching the character, I know how to perform, but I can always do justice to that character with my voice because that's what's going to be heard. So yeah,
absolutely
it's
तो आप चारों ने जो है पहले खाली प्रिया ने दिया था भाई आप चारों ने मिस वर्ल्ड वाला आंसर दिया है और किसी ने भी ये नहीं कहा
You're still
दैट यू गेट
sticking to
पेड
that Miss
सो
World thing.
किसी ने भी ये me, dear, that you get paid so bloody well. It is so
Oh, yeah.
rewarding.
No,
You're getting
no,
That's
paid
the
to
biggest
speak.
pro. I didn't want to
We
sound.
forgot
I didn't want
about
to sound
that.
like a. I didn't want to sound like a typical Delhi wala. But earning per second, I'm trying to teach I tell my daughter. I said, doctor engineer, to theek hai, but here you earn per second. Get on this track.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Good one.
Actually, sorry, me too.
This has been so lovely. It was almost like five friends talking. And I want to say a big thank you to all four of you for joining in today and for making India Voice Fest a part of your life. And thank you so much, Tanya, Priya, Nishka, and Anamaya. Bahut bahut shukriya. And I'll see you soon. And thank you once again and have a great evening. Bye bye.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much.